What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Breaking news: Fury Wilder 3 has a new venue. It was widely reported and widely assumed that that fight would take place at Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders. Owner Mark Davis pretty much killed that fight. Didn't want that fight to happen. The simple fact is he didn't want that to be the first sporting event held at Allegiant Stadium in front of a full crowd. He wanted the Las Vegas Raiders to be that team to have the first sporting event held in front of a full crowd. Last year, they had 8 home games, and I think Nevada was only allowing 25% capacity. Mark Davis didn't want no part of that. He said, we're going to go have all 8 of our home games in front of no fans, because I want that first game to be memorable. I want that first game to be epic. I want that first game to be talked about for years to come. I don't want that first game to be like, man, it was quiet in there. Man, it had like a half-empty stadium. It wasn't no buzz. Felt like a preseason game. Better yet, it felt like a Division II college football game. With the crowd that was there. It didn't feel like an NFL game. He didn't want that to happen in the first ever regular season home game in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's why that fight is not happening. A lot of people don't want to report that. People ain't saying that's not the case, but that is the case. That's the reason why that fight is getting moved to T-Mobile Arena. Now the NSAC has approved T-Mobile Arena as the venue for Fury Wilder 3, and that's where it'll go down. So the city is going to stay the same. It's just that the venue has now been changed from Allegiant Stadium to T-Mobile Arena, who hosted Canelo Alvarez versus Amir Chandelier Glassjaw Khan. And we saw what happened in that fight as Canelo Alvarez slept him and put him to sleep and didn't even give him NyQuil, a 6-round knockout. And that was a highlight reel knockout, man. That was a vicious knockout, man. Amir Khan had no business fighting him at that weight, 155 pounds, but, give him credit for wanting to be great, wanting to chase and uphold and uplift his legacy. Put it that way, because he was a guy at that point that had been in a lot of big fights previous, won some, lost some, but he was a guy that had the name, and if he wanted to be the guy that could beat who at that time and who at this time still is a cash cow boxing, that is Canelo Alvarez. So he tried and failed, man. But that's one of the fights they had at T-Mobile Arena. Tyson Fury fought Otto Wallin there. That was a good fight. As Otto Wallin opened up a cut over Tyson Fury's eye, had him, shooting out a lot of blood. It was a bloody mess. He's bleeding all over the place. Probably should have stopped that fight, but they know they had a big fight on the horizon with Fury Wilder 2. They didn't want to mess up that money, so they let the fight continue. And Fury, give him credit, he dug deep, started backing up Wallin, started mauling Wallin, got him up on the ropes, worked the body, and pretty much just outwork and out-hustle Otto Wallin to a unanimous decision win. So that was a couple of fights that took place in T-Mobile Arena. And once again, they'll host another big fight, a bigger fight than those 2 fights were, as the second fight between Wilder versus Fury 2 did a over $6 million live gate, the largest live gate ever done for heavyweight boxing. So you talking about a fight that did great. You considering the fights they had in Las Vegas, and that didn't do that type of live gate. You talking about Holyfield, Tyson 1 and 2, I believe, were in Las Vegas. And they didn't produce that type of live gate. You talking about Lennox Lewis and his fights. He fought. Didn't he fight Hasim Rahman too? Wasn't that in Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken? They didn't produce that type of live gate. So, look at all the 5 times Tyson fought in Las Vegas, and he didn't produce that type of live gate. That was the highest live gate for heavyweight boxing in the United States. So that's one of the reasons why the fight didn't get made late last year, because Bob Arum did not want to give up that live gate. He understand that he made that type of money in the second fight, and he was looking at similar money for the third fight. He didn't want to give that up and having a pay-per-view fight between those 2 guys in front of no crowd, and then basically making the money that you could make off of a pay-per-view revenue. He didn't want to do that. That's one of the reasons why the fight did not get made. It had nothing to do with Deontay Wilder was in depression, or Deontay Wilder really didn't want to fight. It had everything to do with the pandemic and Bob Arum and Tyson Fury unwilling to fight without crowd. That's why the fight ended up getting pushed back, and then they finally settled on December, but that date was taken up by college football conference championship games. Fox and ESPN didn't want to put that fight on when they had those games going on their networks, so the fight ended up getting pushed back again, maybe to February. Fury didn't want to wait that long, and they thought they had an out. They thought the contract expired, but they got some bad info from their lawyers. It turned out that fight didn't have an expiration date on it. Or if they did, the expiration date wasn't prevalent in this situation due to the pandemic going on, which was no fault of Deontay Wilder. He was always pushing forward with trying to make the third fight happen, and now it's going down in July 24 in T-Mobile Arena. Now I'm going to go back to the second fight. I rewatched that fight probably about a month ago. You know, when you watch the fight, fight was going down live. I was at a sports bar at my home, but we eating wings, I'm drinking, and I'm just getting ready for the fight. But when I sat at home and rewatched that fight, yeah, Wilder wasn't right. Soon as he took his mask off, you could see it in his face. You could see it in his face. You could see he wasn't right. He didn't have that same, when Wilder, before the fight started, Wilder walking around there looking like he about to kill somebody. He got that type of sinister look, like he about to annihilate somebody. It's like he going to a different frame of mind, like he going to a different person. Like he say he the bronze bomb in the ring. Outside, he's a nice guy, and he's a guy that signs every autograph he can sign. He gets along with everybody. He's a cool cat. But inside that ring, he's a killer. He's a seek and destroy type of guy, and he's ready to annihilate that person in that ring. But when you watch that fight between him and Fury, the rematch, the second fight, when he took that mask off, he didn't have that same sinister look that he had, before the Luis Ortiz 1 and 2 fights. All his fights, actually. He had that sinister look on his face. He didn't have that. He had that look on his face like he was, something wasn't right. And then when they had the stare down, when the referee was giving the instruction, Kenny Bayless was giving the instruction, Fury was looking at Wilder, and how Wilder was looking, he didn't look right. Fury picked up on that. He picked up on that. When he looking at Wilder, he could see that Wilder was something wrong with him. He had that same sinister look in his face. Fury picked up on that. So when the fight started, Fury jumped on him like he said he was going to do. He backed him up, and he did what he had to do. He landed that shot behind Wilder's ear. Wilder never really recovered from that shot. Wilder fought on, but Wilder was not right due to, I don't know what the circumstances was. You look at the gloves. The gloves were bent at an awkward way. I ain't never seen that before. He had Jay Diaz, who was inexperienced, in the dressing room while Fury was getting his hands wrapped and getting the gloves put on. He didn't know what to look for. But the bottom line is, when I look at that fight, I watched that fight about a month ago. Yeah, Wilder wasn't right. I would advise anybody to just think I'm just talking, trying to make an excuse for Wilder. Go back and watch that fight. I'm talking about from the beginning of that fight. When Wilder go into the ring and when he take that mask off, look at how he's looking. Look at that face, his facial expression. He don't have that same, and look at his other fights when he got going to the ring. Before he fought Dominique Brazil, oh man, he had a sinister look. It looked like he was going to decapitate Dominique Brazil, and that's exactly what he did. But just look how he looked when he was walking around that ring before round one, how he was looking before he fought Dominique Brazil or any one of those Ortiz fighters. Any of his past 40-some fights he had led going into that Fury second fight. Even the first fight between him and Fury. Look how he looked before round one in the Fury 1 fight. And look how he looked once he took that mask off. Just look at his facial expression. You can look at, he looked like he was drained. It looked like he just wasn't right. Whatever the case may be, you could tell that something wasn't right with him. And like I said, Fury picked up on that. Like I said, when they did the little face-to-face and the referee was giving the instruction before round one, Fury picked up on that. Fury was looking at Wilder with a mean mug type of look, but Fury was looking at him like, oh yeah, something ain't right. See, other fighters can look at other fighters' eyes, and they can immediately just kind of read them, get a read on them. If they confident or if they worried or if they nervous, they get a good read on them. And Fury picked up on that Wilder was not right. Even Fury saw that. I think Fury said after the fight that Wilder wasn't right in that fight. Something was wrong with Wilder. He even alluded to that after the fight. So he even knew that. And plus that, and plus the situation going on with the gloves and the hand wrapping, it was just Fury night. But this fight's going to be much different. Look at the first fight. You got these people out here rewriting history, talking about Fury won every round except 2 in the first fight, basically saying if it wasn't for the 2 knockdowns, Fury probably would have shut out Wilder, the way they tell it. They say only rounds they give Wilder is the ones he knocked Fury down in. Actually, that's not the case. He won other rounds too. I had to fight 7 rounds for Fury, 5 rounds for Wilder, but with the 2 knockdowns, I had it 113, a draw. That's what I had. I had it 113, a draw. So that's basically what it is. So I had Fury winning more rounds, but with the 2 knockdowns, that balanced the fight out. And actually, man, I told you this in multiple videos. I don't even think it should have been no draw. I think it should have been a knockout in the 12th round. I'm not even talking about that long count. Everybody focusing on that long count. Oh man, Jack Reese gave Tyson Fury too much time. Probably did give him too much time. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about why was he even giving him time? Why was he even counting? That type of knockout, he was knocked out. Eyes rolling in the back of his head, motionless. Why are you counting, Jack Reese? Why are you counting? This guy is out. He's not moving. He's motionless. His eyes is rolling in the back of his head. He's not consonant. He's not consonant, whatever the name is. He's not there. You should have stopped that fight, Jack Reese. You should have waved it off. Damn the count. You should have waved it off. You know, that's what I'm saying. So whatever the case may be, that fight was a draw. And now we're here at the 3rd fight. I think Wilder's going to be much better than he was even in that 1st fight. And if Fury bring the heat like he brought in that 2nd fight, this is going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. It's not going the distance. It's not going 12 rounds. Somebody getting knocked out in the middle part of this fight. Because both guys are coming to bring it. Wilder is going to use that jab. He's going to use that jab to disguise that right hand. He's going to unload that right hand. He's going to jab to the body. He's going to have better head moves. He's going to have better footwork. But what Wilder got to do is he cannot allow Fury to constantly back him up. And if he do back him up, he's got to be able to fight off the back foot. Jab, jab, Wilder, jab, 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 Fury. Jab, catch him with the right hand and turn Fury. Once Fury try to bogart him, Fury's going to try to bogart him. Fury's going to try to use his advantage of being a naturally bigger guy and try to lean on Wilder and try to tire Wilder out. He's going to try to do exactly what he did in the 2nd fight and what he did in Otto Wallin fight, especially once he got cut in that fight. He basically used his weight on Otto Wallin and wore Wallin down. He's able to win a unanimous decision. He's going to try to do that again with Wilder, but Wilder's got to turn him. Once he tries to back Wilder up against that rope, Wilder got to hit him with a 2-piece combination and then turn him. That's what he got to do. And get that fight back in the middle of the ring. That fight is in the middle of the ring. That's what Wilder can do his damage. But he's got to worry about Fury. Fury has a good jab in his own right. He's got a very good jab. He can switch from orthodox to southpaw. He's a guy that has a very good upper body movement. A very guy that's very hard to hit. So you got to set that right hand up off the jab. You actually got to blind him with that jab, catch him with that right hand, kind of like he did with the Dominic Breazeale knockout, where he hit Breazeale with that left jab, kind of blinded him, kind of froze Breazeale for that half a second, and he came over the top with that right hand. That right hand is so explosive and so quick and so fast, and he don't even need to get a lot of stitching on. He just need to get it there. You know, he can get it from a short range, he can get it from long range, and it still have the same effect. It's got devastating power behind that right hand, and he's just going to be looking to set that up. But he's got to just not be, looking to that being Wilder, looking to be just to load up on that right hand. He's got to be able to set that left hook up too. Quiet as kept, his left hook is just as devastating punch as his right hand. Ask Luis Ortiz, because that actually was the punch that got Luis Ortiz out there in the 1st fight. And quiet as kept, that was the punch that pretty much slept Tyson Fury in the 12th round. No, he caught him with that right hand, but then on the way down, he hit him with that left hook. So that left hook 1-on-1, that might have woke Fury up after he was laid out there motionless. That left hook might have woke him up, or maybe his head hit in the back of that canvas after a few seconds, maybe woke him up. But he hit him with a right hand, bam. He was already going down, but on his way down, he hit him with that left hook, man. That's what had him pretty much in deep sleep, because he was not moving. And again, Jack Reese, why are you counting? The man's eye is rolling in the back of his head, and the man is not moving. That's a wave off if I ever seen a wave off. Wave that fight off. But you wanted to start counting for reasons unknown, and he did get up, give him credit, and he was able to get back up on his feet, and he had a very good round after that. But the problem I have is I don't know why that fight was not waved out. I know a lot of referees in that same situation would have waved that fight off. But that's neither here nor there. We're here for the 3rd fight, going down July the 24th, going down to Las Vegas, Nevada, AK Sin City. Wilder will have all his ducks in a row. He will have the I's dotted and the T's crossed. We're going to be on an even playing field. As Floyd Mayweather Jr. said when he wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao, it will be on an even playing field, and we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But this is going to be an epic matchup. These are the 2 best guys in the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua is the 3rd best heavyweight in my opinion. He's got to fight both of these guys before his career is over with. I don't care about him having 3 or 4 major belts. He's beaten Joseph Parker. He's beaten Andy Ruiz Jr. He beat Carlos Takam. He beat Vladimir Klitschko, which was a good win, even though Klitschko was past his best. He beat Dominic Brazil. He beat Carlos Molina. He's beat Dillian White. He's beat Charles Barton. He beat some good fighters. But you haven't beat the 2 best in the heavyweight division besides yourself. The 3 best in the heavyweight division besides yourself. And that's Tyson Fury, a fight that you could have had happen when he came back from his cocaine binge and his deep depression. You know, when Eddie Hearn was offering him that 3-fight deal with Skybox. My bad, Sky Sports. I'm thinking about Skybox. That's a sports bar here in Houston. They have a lot of big fights on, big pay-per-view fights on when they have Canelo fighting, people like that. But anyway, Sky Sports. They offered Fury a deal when he was coming back from his 2.5-year hiatus. And they offered him a 3-fight deal. I think the first fight was Travis Kaufman. The second fight was Tony Bellew. And the third fight was Dillian White. And then after that, then they was talking about, you know, matching him up with Anthony Joshua. But Fury wanted to go straight to Joshua. And Eddie Hearn said, no. Why would he fight you now after 2.5 years? He don't get no credit for beating you. Why don't you have these 3 fights, and then we will set the stage for you to fight Anthony Joshua. And Tyson Fury told Eddie Hearn to basically fuck off, because I don't want no 3-fight deal. I want to fight Anthony Joshua off the rip. And you talking about fighting all these other 3 guys, which ain't really no guarantee. And if I beat these guys, I'm going to get Anthony Joshua after I beat those 3 guys. He said, hell to the now. And that's when he started looking at Deontay Wilder. But you could have fought Deontay Wilder too. 2018. The man offered you $50 million and 50% of the pay-per-view. 50-50 on the pay-per-view. And you, I ain't going to say you turned it down, but your team turned it down. Specifically, Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn. They put the kibosh on you taking that fight. I don't know if your contract states that they got final say on who you fight. I don't know if that's the case, or you believe in what they say and they guide your career, and you just the fighter. You fight. You let them pretty much tell you when and where to fight and who to fight, and you ain't really, you know, trying to ruffle no feathers, and you just happy to get along and go along with the situation. If that's the case, cool. But you had an ample opportunity to fight both of these guys, and it ain't happened. And, you know, Eddie Hearn want to get in front of these cameras and talk about, you know, oh man, AJ fought everybody. Look at his resume, man. He's fought all the top dogs. No, he ain't. He ain't fought all the top dogs. He ain't fought Deontay Wilder, and he ain't fought Tyson Fury. Now, Wilder and Fury are going on their 3rd fight, and you ain't fought now one of these guys one time. So you ain't fought everybody. The guys you have fought been good fighters, but the heavyweight division is 3 deep. That's all it is. It ain't like we got 8, 9 good heavyweights. It's not the 70s where you had, not only you had the top 4 with Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, Joe Frazier, and Ken Norton, you had guys like Ernest Shea was out there, that was Ron Lyle. You had some good fighters out there that was second level. They'd be probably champions right now. You know, you had some good fighters, you know, Quarry, and, you know, you had second tier fighters that were real good. You know, Randall Tex Cobb, he wasn't no scrub. You know what I'm saying? You had some second tier fighters out there that were good. This ain't that era. It's 3 deep. And then, like I said, I like Luis King Kong Ortiz. I think he's like a half a step behind the big 3, but he's right there too. But since Wilder beat him twice, I would like to see him fight a Tyson Fury, see how he fare, and let him fight a Anthony Joshua, see how he fare. Maybe he probably could be in that same mix. But since he only fought Wilder and lost to him, I have to put him a step behind Wilder, Fury, and Anthony Joshua. But outside of that, you know, you got Dillian White and Andy Ruiz probably fighting for the 5th spot. But those guys are not special fighters, in my opinion. Andy Ruiz had a special night when he knocked out and stopped and made Anthony Joshua wave that white flag, knocked him down multiple times and won that fight. But he showed his true colors in the rematch. You know, that's been his problem his whole career. Never dedicated, never focused in on his craft. Came in that fight grossly out of shape. And that's saying something for him, because he basically was out of shape in the first fight, but he was in his best shape compared to the other fights of his career. So I guess they say he was in decent shape the first fight, but he was out of shape the first fight, but he was in even worse shape the second fight, and he got exposed. And Anthony Joshua used the old Vladimir Klitschko technique. He went to the old Vladimir Klitschko jab and grab school of boxing. You know, they said if Klitschko had went to his training camp and was working with him, giving him opponents, and I ain't know that's what he basically was going to implement, that blueprint. And that was a boring fight, but he did what he had to do to get the victory. But that's a game, like I said, Andy Ruiz is never shown to be in that class due to his basically his work ethic. If he ever gets serious and get himself in decent shape, maybe you could include him in the class, include him in that class. But right now you can't do that. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But Wilder Fury 3, it's going to be epic. The two best heavyweights in the heavyweight division going down July 24th. The venue has been changed, going down in T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada, a.k.a. Sin City. It's going down. Let me know your thoughts about the venue change. Hit the like button if you like the content of this video. Subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I'll holla.